Thank you, Presiding Officer. The catching of wild fish is an industry that's consistently been let down by Tory policy and practice over the decades. The contrast with these SNP benches could not be more stark then as now. This 1970s SNP policy leaflet at paragraph 14A, and I quote, "The right to impose an exclusive 100-mile limit." The only change we've made is now 200 miles. We're the only party to have consistently, always, invariably opposed the common fisheries policy. Donald Stewart, the leader of the SNP, spoke in the House of Commons in 1983 against the common fisheries policy when it was a matter of debate then. Alan McCartney wrote an excellent paper in the 1990s on precisely the point that Finlay Carson addressed, regional control. These are issues which the SNP has been engaged in from the outset and remains engaged in. On the 17th of January, I brought members' debate supporting the Scottish Fishermen's Federation Sea of Opportunity campaign to this chamber. The motion said, among other things, considers that full control over fishing in the offshore economic zone represents an opportunity to reinvigorate coastal communities. Two Tory actions that day showed them once again in all their ambivalence towards our fishermen. No Tories signed the motion supporting the Sea of Opportunity. And that same day, the Tory Prime Minister May made a speech entitled "The Government's Negotiating Objectives for Exiting the EU." It contained a single reference to fishing, a reference to Spanish fishermen. Nothing about our fishermen, nothing about our fishing industries. And on the 2nd of February, the Tories' white paper stated at paragraph 8.16, "It's in both our interests to reach a mutually beneficial deal that works for the UK and the EU's fishing community, works for the EU's fishing communities." A signal in the most unambiguous language possible that there's a deal for fishermen in other jurisdictions. We're being sold out again. And at 6 minutes 27 seconds into his speech, Peter Chapman confirmed that it is a matter of Tory policy that foreign vessels will continue to be fishing in our waters. There's a clear opportunity as we leave the CFP to reclaim our fishing rights as our waters are being traded again. But if there's an advantage being denied our fishermen, there's an even graver and disadvantaged impact looming for our processors. And Rhoda Grant very eloquently articulated much on that. I'll simply quote from the UK Government's Treasury analysis of the 23rd of May 2016 at paragraph 1.15. I want to make sure I give all the references. "Businesses that trade with the EU would be uncertain about the UK's access to the single market, not knowing what restrictions could be put on their ability to trade, including tariffs, customs costs or non-tariff barriers." And crucially, it goes on, "and those that currently benefit from EU funding would not know what support, if any, they're to receive after the UK left. This includes fishermen." And that's important for very small communities around Scotland. Just when we thought we'd escaped the CFP, we'll be hit by a Tory government that trades away our advantage and sees trade and fiscal barriers elected. And Ms Levison's letter does not take any opportunity to rebut what has been previously said. And finally, Presiding Officer, Boris Johnson, 26th of June 2016, the only change, and will not come in a great rush, is the UK will extricate itself from the EU's extraordinary and opaque system of legislation. In other words, says nothing about leaving the single market.
Mr. Stevenson, you must
Abandon isolation. It doesn't work. Presiding Officer.